credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. This is the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, central bank employees are back on the job after the financial institution rescinded the temporary employment of an intern, a move which saw workers walking out in protest. General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Tony Moore, says she was informed of an emergency meeting of the board of the bank and received the correspondence in writing. She also made it clear the action should not be seen as an attack on the intern, but against the employer, and a trend the union is seeing too often.
What must be observed, and which is something that we would clarify both for the bank and for the public, that there was a fundamental breach of the provisions of the collective agreement between the Barbados Workers Union and the Central Bank of Barbados. One, where a temporary position or where a new position is going to be established, there ought to be a position description that is communicated to the Secretariat of the Union at the earliest possible time. And two, there must be provision for internal application by those persons already in the bargaining unit who might be interested in the position being advertised. So that is what we had insisted on.
Ms. Moore says the central bank is aware there are outstanding issues to be addressed when the two sides meet.
We had hoped that we would have been able to meet earlier this week, because certainly we had hoped that this immediate issue would have been resolved. But now I think that the bank has opened the door to the Barbados Workers Union to indicate, and of course it will be subject to diaries, because a number of our other divisions that also have pressing issues have been kept in abeyance for the past few days while we dealt with this emergency situation as we saw it. So the union will propose the earliest possible day, and I'm sure that the bank will seek to cooperate.
In light of the recent spate of crimes involving youth, music director in a local gospel group, Ayudiji Oidorin, says families intend to get back to the basics. He was speaking to CBC about the gospel group that went on a 2-week tour visiting 4 churches in Tennessee, USA.
Families don't get to sit down together anymore, really, and just really bond and spend time with each other. And I think that time and that neglect sometimes that the youth feel is probably the main reasons why, you know, they allow themselves to be sucked in by other interests that would seem to be more beneficial but really are detrimental to their well-being. And so if we can all get back to the family as God intended it.
Meanwhile, speaking about the tour called Matchless, he says the response to the 11-member team, including Reverend Patrick Tannis, was very positive. He added the group's presence caught the attention of television networks like Fox News and TBN. He says the group leaders are making plans to showcase their talent here in Barbados.
Going forward, we have a worship experience that we want to put on here in Barbados, which will reflect some of the songs we did up there. We also have a number of other new ones, all written by the team as well. And we're excited about that and sharing that with Barbados, because it's been shared in the States, but now to bring it home, you know, and we really pray that we get that support.
Management of the school meals department says working hours at its centers will revert to their original times. This after workers expressed concern about their safety and security following the end of their 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift. The school meals departments are located at Lancaster and St. James, Country Road and Harbour Road, St. Michael, and St. Christopher in Christchurch. Workers staged a work to rule over the new hours. They will revert to working the 9 in the morning until 5 in the evening. A pilot of a British Airways plane that burst into flames as it prepared for takeoff in the United States has been rewarded with a trip to Barbados. 63-year-old Chris Henke, who is now retired, oversaw the evacuation of 157 passengers and 13 crew when his Boeing 777 engine caught fire before takeoff in Las Vegas. The airline has given him and his fiancée an all-expenses-paid trip here. We'll have more news in just a moment, but first we want to get your take on this question. Do you think Barbadian employers need to consult industrial and legal experts before hiring or firing workers? Text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results for you at the end of the news.
Dear Clark, I've made a fascinating discovery, the institutional water cooler. Its gravitational pull sucks people from their workstations at the busiest times of day to stand around it and chat about emerging global trends like, will pink be in fashion next season? Meanwhile, the world slows to a stop as it waits in line to be served. I don't see that trend at Globe Finance.
Globe Finance. Think outside the bank.
When it comes to their financial service, slow is out, swift is in.
My baby. That's what we have to do.
You are a romantic.
I had diabetes, and I'm still the same.
Glucerna. Thanks to its benefits that help control my blood sugar spikes and provides energy. Drinking it daily.
Glucerna, keep being you.
It's Quartz Golden Anniversary. Come celebrate with us. During our celebrations, we've got great deals on the world's best brands. Plus, get a chance to choose your own free gift of any one item sold at Quartz with purchases of $999 and over. So, come celebrate our Golden Anniversary with us. Quartz, bringing value home.
A significant drop in water levels, higher demand and more bursts have all combined to create a nightmare situation for the Barbados Water Authority and its customers. Acting General Manager Dr. John Mwanza explained that its supplies fell by as much as half in two of the wells that feed two of the major reservoirs at Golden Ridge and Castle Grande.
The total reduction that we have determined to have been impacted amounts to 1 million gallons a day in the Golden Ridge system, which means we have reduced production from 2.5 million gallons a day to 1.5 million gallons a day.
General Manager of the Barbados Water Authority, Dr. John Mwanza, putting the utility company's challenges into perspective. He also told the press conference that while there has been some rain, it has not been enough.
I think everybody would have noted that our rainy season hasn't been that good. Right into August, we were not getting that much rainfall. And the little rain that we've had in the month of September was not and is not enough to contribute to groundwater recharge. It has contributed to reducing the irrigation demand and is being used up by the plants, but there is very little to infiltrate and recharge the aquifer.
As to the solutions, Dr. Mwanza says an additional 4 tankers have been ordered to bolster the fleet. He says the nightly shutoffs will continue to get more water into Golden Ridge, and this will allow for pumping to Castle Grande that feeds the higher elevated areas of St. Joseph, St. Andrew and St. Thomas. The well at Bowmanston will also be cleaned.
The idea behind that is that if we deepen the well another 3 feet, we can reposition the pump, bring it lower so that it no longer sucks in air. And if we do that, we could build back some of the supply. We are also looking at putting additional water into supply by putting a pump at the well at Groves Agricultural Station and feed that into the Golden Ridge system.
The BWA General Manager adds that ongoing projects like the St. Philip Water Augmentation and the East Coast Spring System should offer some relief as early as next month and in some cases by December. He says, however, above all the plans, Barbadians will have to do more to conserve water. Lawmen continue to reap success in their fight against locally grown marijuana. Over 1,000 trees were discovered and seized on Wednesday following drug eradication exercises conducted by the drug squad with assistance by members of the Tactical Response Unit. 945 cannabis plants were found under cultivation in a dense bush at Coffee Gully in St. Joseph. The plants ranged between 1 and 9 feet in height, and over at Burton in St. Philip, 155 cannabis plants were found under cultivation in a bushy area. Those plants ranged from 1 to 6 feet in height. No arrests were made in these seizures. Police investigations continue into the unnatural death of a St. Michael teenager. He is 19-year-old Shakem Romario Turton of Long Gap, Spooners Hill. Police say on Tuesday the young man was involved in an altercation with another person when he was struck several times and wounded. He was reportedly taken for private medical treatment and returned home. Lawmen say that around 8 yesterday morning the teen became ill and died at home. Barbados has far too many people in the psychiatric hospital, and it has been this way for a long time. Director of the hospital, David Leacock, says a survey done in 2000 showed 2/3 of the patients there could be managed in wider society. In addition, he says Barbados is far above the worldwide average for developing countries of people who are kept in mental health institutions. He says the average for the world is 31 per 100,000, but in Barbados it is 189 per 100,000. According to Mr. Leacock, the problem is that while more resources have been put in the community, for instance at polyclinics, to deal with people with mental health issues, it's not enough.
We continue to recognize, however, that we do have a need for greater support from the community-based level. And this will call for the cooperation of not just the medical staff, but also the churches, other civic organizations and community groups as need be. Beyond that, we have recognized that regardless of how well we manage to get our community services going, there will always be a need for hospitalization of some persons, and as such we need to create an environment that when persons are hospitalized, they can feel comfortable coming into that environment and receiving care.
Still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But first, a reminder that we want to hear from you on this question. Do you think Barbadian employers need to consult industrial and legal experts before hiring or firing workers? Text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results for you at